Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that 2024, this year, is going to be a very challenging one at that, not just for Bob Iger and the board of directors, but also for everyone else over at different divisions over at Disney, such as Kevin Feige over at Marvel Studios, and let's not forget about Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Bob Iger is that we know that this man has been making the worst calls throughout all of 2023 and now spilling into 2024. That's really already wreaking havoc over at Disney and every single division across the board. The biggest one of all, by the way, is Walt Disney Animation Studios. We have a lot to talk about. What Bob Iger intends to do with Frozen 3 and a potential Frozen 4. There's a lot of things happening with those two films, so stay tuned for that. But what's even all the more revealing has a lot to do with what Bob Iger was able to confirm about the future and what looms for Disney and how this truly is making the current financial collapse situation even worse for Disney's sake. Now, we know that one thing about Bob Iger is that he really will say whatever he has to say to the general public. Whether it be what he calls his customers or the shareholders, he will convince anyone that will be convinced to really follow Disney's path for their upcoming releases, such as their new movies and or TV shows for Disney+. Now let's get into the ongoing situation of what's happening with their financial status within all divisions over at Disney. Now specifically, with Bob Iger endlessly engaging in damage control over the latest box office failures and the struggles for both film and television looming for 2025, one major development involves how Bob Iger recently addressed the following about the future of Disney. As CEO, I believe it is my responsibility to remain direct with our customers and shareholders with our outlook for our many business models for both this year and next. As per our cost containment plan, which we believe is absolutely necessary across the board, one of our divisions at Disney will use this strategy the most in our latest revision for spending less and making less across all forms of entertainment for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Our goal is to embrace cutbacks on funds for many of our budgets for upcoming Marvel installments, such as motion pictures and television programs, for our Disney Plus platform. This will also involve a drastic reduction in marketing expenses for our films and programs in order to achieve the proper spending habits with our many projects in the pipeline for what Marvel Studios has in store for our customers. This will impact all of our 2025 productions that are either in principal photography or post-production. I also believe it is absolutely necessary to address another one of our divisions that will be receiving a significant update with our cost containment plan as we look to right-size our productions happening over at Lucasfilm. This will come with cancellations of certain projects that were either in early development or in production. We also aim to create a reduction in our number of employees for all of our divisions here at Disney. One important approach to us that we carefully reviewed for our Disney Plus platform will be by removing material from the platform that have shown low engagement statistics on our end while we embrace rate hikes for the service throughout the year. Apart from what Iger delivered here, the biggest impact Disney will make, of course, to themselves will not only be by firing thousands of employees across the globe from the parks, films, shows, and even the corporate ladder that will now go into effect by the second quarter of this year, but also a significant purge of Disney Plus content for all brands of Disney while they plan to create 2 rate hikes in 2024 for both their ads and non-ad deals. Now guys, let me just pause here quick before I move on to the big conclusion about all of this. Now, the biggest turnoff that I think a lot of Disney Plus subscribers are going to have that's going to lead to them really just leaving and abandoning ship is the fact that Bob Iger is confirming that they do plan to rate hikes, or to raise hikes, of course, with all of their rates, and really kind of embrace cutbacks. That means the removal of material such as shows or movies related to Star Wars, Marvel, or just Disney in general, that they find is not quite all that popular. And that really is a big problem when it comes to Bob Iger's situation, and it's only tarnishing his legacy, if you even want to say he has a legacy at that, of basically what he did in 2023 with all the box office failures. And we already know that Inside Out 2, for I believe it's June of this year, correct me if I'm wrong, but that film in particular is already facing a lot of struggles when it comes to their marketing expenses. They're already cutting back on funds for that film to begin with, and that's not a good start for 2024. Again, Disney's two big movies this year are Inside Out 2 and Deadpool 3. That's really what they're banking on currently before they have a big rise in material for 2025. Now, let's move on, shall we? Now, specifically, the marketing of not just Marvel films, but also for Star Wars movies and shows will also be significantly cut back, along with their Disney live-action remakes, such as Snow White 2025 is already facing a 40% cut in marketing funds by Bob Iger's call, that the board recently agreed with for 2025. Bob Iger is also set to make another announcement by this February about the Disney purge of employees, content on a more detailed, of course, notice to the entire public. So that's another thing, is that they are really dialing down the number of employees across the board to kind of spend less and make less entirely. And that's basically what his cost containment plan is all about. These three phases, the fact that they are entering its third phase for the cost containment plan, is not only making Disney look really bad for, the remainder of this year leading into 2025 is going to be a big struggle for them. We also know that they lost, of course, the copyright for Steamboat Willie, alright? The separate version of Mickey Mouse, alright? That is now in the public domain. That's another thing. So there's a lot of things that they are facing too. We have a lot of people calling them out, like Elon Musk, South Park Studios, The Daily Wire, which, by the way, The Daily Wire is coming out with their version of Snow White this year to kind of challenge against the Rachel Zegler version of Snow White, due for release in March of 2025. So again, I mean, this is a very big problem for Disney, the fact that Bob Iger is being seemingly proud to announce that they will be enhancing cutbacks on Disney Plus, as far as reducing the amount of material while also raising rates, this rate hike, if you will, two of which will be established in 2024 for both their ad and non-ad plan. And that really is not a good sign at all when it comes to Disney Plus, which, by the way, is one of their most important business models right now that they are trying to keep afloat. Everything is seemingly not working for Disney in the least, as we, of course, roll into the second quarter of 2024. So anyway, guys, I would love to hear your overall take on everything that Bob Iger is beginning to establish for all divisions over at Disney. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.